If you hate miscommunication, this is the book for you. It was, wait, who is that? Why do they matter? And they do matter. I'm just a dramatic person in general. He obviously loves you, like, get it through your brain. Hello everyone, and welcome or welcome back. Welcome to my April reading wrap up. These are all the books that I read this month, and I'm so excited to go through them with you. I had a little bit of I wanted to say rough reading month just because I had an anticipated book that didn't go very well, and that put me in a really bad slump, and I think I am getting out of it, thankfully. But it was just a weird reading month because I read some really good books and I read some not great books, and so I feel like I was kind of all over the place this month. But I'm really excited about May. I hope it goes a little better. I am really prioritizing reading books that I'm anticipating will be a higher star, even though that kind of didn't work for me last month, but it's okay. We're gonna go through them all together and I will give you my full and honest opinion, of course. Next video is going to be my Thorn Queen reading vlog. I posted a little post on my channel asking you all if you wanted to see a reading vlog where I didn't like a book, and it ended up being kind of a negative video, and 98% of you said yes, or you voted yes, so I am going to post that. It's going to be after this video. I will touch on it briefly in this video, but yes, that full reading vlog is going to be next video, just so you know. It wasn't my favorite book and I'm really sad about it, but it's okay. So this month I read 9 books and I DNF'd 2. I read 1 mystery, 6 romance, 3 YA fantasies, and 1 literary fiction. That's including the 2 that I DNF'd. That was the stats for this month. Let's get into our very first book. So the month actually started out pretty well. I started out with my favorite chocolate chip cookie murder series. I didn't end up reading one of these in March, I think, and so I was really excited to go into this one. I really enjoyed reading this book. So this was number, I think, 15 in the series. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I love this series, but I always give the disclaimer that not everyone is going to love this series. I just love these books so much. They are your typical Hallmark movie-esque kind of books. They literally follow the exact same storyline every single time. Every single thing that happened in the first book basically happens the same way in the rest of the books. Our main character finds a dead body, she's a baker, she solves a murder, the murderer tries to kill her, and everything works out in the end. So that's how every book goes. The last 2 have been a little bit off of our normal plot, and it's been really fun to read. This one, our main character and her sister, I just love their relationship. They're so fun together. They go off on this big quest to prove this woman is a fraud and all this stuff, and so I really love this one. This one was actually set in April, so it was really fun to read it in April. I love this book. Not everyone's going to, but I personally do. If you like cozy mysteries and you don't really care about great literature or prose, you just like fun cozy mysteries, you would really enjoy this one. Plus, I always say this, but the coolest thing about these books is that she is a baker, and so all of the books have a ton of recipes. Whatever she's baking or cooking in the book, there are recipes for it in the actual book, and I just think it's the cutest detail ever. The next book I read was Racing Hearts, and this was probably my favorite book of the entire month. I loved this. This was an Olympic rower romance. Our main character's name is Catherine. She is a rower. She is competing in a certain race that's going to let her go to the Olympics, and something happens. Her boyfriend breaks up with her at the very beginning of a race, and she comes in last, and she loses her spot in her Olympic training center. She basically has to leave the life that she's ever known and go back to her hometown and train with this new up-and-coming coach who is Adrian, who is our male main character, and they fall in love, and it was so good. Everything that I don't like about romance books, which is normally miscommunication and overly explicit spicy scenes, this book was perfect. It was just the right amount of spice. It wasn't overly graphic, and these characters communicated so well. I have never read a book where the characters confronted their problems head on like these two, and it was so refreshing to read. Oh my gosh, I just loved it. The chemistry was there, the banter was there. It was so good. You absolutely have to read this one if you are a romance girl. If you hate miscommunication, this is the book for you. It's sexy and romantic, and I just loved this. I think this will be one that I reread because I just loved the entire story so much. All right, the next 3 books that I read were for my Barbie reading vlog. If you missed that, I did an OG Barbie movie themed reading vlog and I had so much fun making that video. And so I did very, very in-depth reviews on all 3 of these in that video. So I'm not going to go too far in these just because you probably heard me talk about them enough. But the first one I read was Hold Me by Anna Savas. This is the first book in her New England School of Ballet series, and this is a book that was originally written in German and has just recently been translated into English. And there are 3 other books in the series that are coming out in, I think the next 2 are this year and the last one is early next year. It was a lot heavier of a story than I was expecting because of how cutesy the cover is. I mean, I will never stop talking about how much I love this cover, and then the pink ballet shoe sprayed edges. It was a lot more serious than I thought it was going to be, and it really threw me off. And I liked it by the end because this was a rare occasion where I felt like all of the sad things that happened in this book really did bring the characters together and made you just root for them even more. A lot of times I feel like really traumatic things in books just kind of take me out of the story, and it did in some parts in this one, but I feel like it was worth it because by the end of the book I just wanted the best for these 2 characters because they had been through so much and they just deserved a happy ending, and they got it. And yeah, it was really good. It does have a trigger warning that you can read. It tells you that there's a trigger warning at the beginning that you can like flip to the back of the book and read it, but that it'll spoil the whole book. I don't really feel like it spoils that much. I think it's pretty obvious from the get-go what's going on in this book, so just know that if you are someone who likes to read trigger warnings, it really doesn't spoil that much of the book because there is something like obviously going on in both of these people's lives, and it's hinted to a lot even from the beginning. So I don't know if it's a really that crazy of a spoiler, so it's there if you want to read it. I still would recommend this book because I really grew to care for our characters, and I will definitely continue in the series. So that being said, this is Hold Me, Anna Savas. The next couple of books I'll show you, they have pictures of them in the back of the book. Really cute covers. So I will be reading the rest of the series, or at least I'll read the next one and see how it goes. The next book I have is The Paris Match by Kate Claiborne. This is a romance book that again had a very cutesy cover and really heavy topics in it, and I liked this one less than I did Hold Me. This was definitely my least favorite from my Barbie reading vlog, and yeah, it was mostly because I really wanted a cutesy Paris romance book, which is what this cover was giving, and that's not really what the story was giving. It was more of an emotional romance where 2 characters had to overcome a lot of internal trauma to be together. It was cute. I don't even actually know, that's not a good word. It was I can't think of a word to describe this book because it really wasn't a cute story. It was more an emotional but still romantic story. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I enjoyed our main 2 characters' relationship, but sometimes I felt like that got shadowed over by the fact that there was so much trauma in these people's lives and so much that they had to work through. And there were certain characters that I really liked that were funny, and there were definitely lighthearted moments. I would say there were probably more lighthearted moments in this one than Hold Me. I don't know, I didn't love the twist. I don't know. I will again say that if you like more emotional romances with imperfect main characters, I think you would like this one. If you don't mind a more serious romance, then I think go for it. If you are looking at this book hoping that it's just a cutesy girly little Paris romance, it's not really going to be for you, unfortunately. But yeah, not a bad book, just not what I was expecting. There is a bird going crazy right now outside my window. Hope you can hear that. All right, the next book I read was Thorn Season by Kira Azar. I loved this. This is a YA fantasy about a kingdom where possessing magic is illegal, and people who possess magic are called wielders, and they are hunted by the hunters, basically executed for having magic. Our main character, of course, has magic, and she is currently being courted by the king in the castle for Rose Season, which is when girls turn 18. They go and live at the castle for the full debutante season and make their debut, and I really liked it. There were so many characters in this book. I actually made a character chart for you and put it in the description of my Barbie reading vlog, which I would suggest you use if you go into this book. And again, that was the only thing that kept this from being a 5-star, because there were so many characters and so much political happenings going on in this book that I would occasionally get confused as to who a person was and why they mattered to the story. And the problem was almost every character did matter to the story, because so much of this book revolved around what was happening in the political sphere of this kingdom. And to really understand the impact of those scenes, you had to understand what the history was behind that character. And it was a lot of history to remember. But other than that, I really liked it. I loved our main character and her love interest. I'm really excited to read the second one. It comes out in November, I believe, or maybe October. And they set up the second book really well. I'm really intrigued to see where the story goes. And I don't think it's going to be the last one. I think it's actually going to be a trilogy, so we'll still have another book to go. But I'm excited to see where the story goes. It's also just the prettiest book with the prettiest sprayed edges ever. And the second book is also, the cover has been revealed and it's really pretty. And so if you love YA fantasy, if you love anything to do with castles and kings and princesses and debutantes and magic, this is definitely the book for you. Just go in knowing that you have to have your brain on to read this book. It's not an easy just kind of pick up and throw down kind of read. You've got to pay attention to what's actually happening in this book, because it's going to come back around. You're going to be like, wait, who is that? Why do they matter? And they do matter. So just have your brain on. And then everything just went down the drain, and I reread The Rose Bargain, and I read The Thorn Queen. So again, I'm not going to get into a ton because I'm going to be posting that reading vlog, I think probably later this week. I just had to finish editing it, and oh my goodness. So I have been waiting for this book to come out since literally last February. I have been so excited. The Rose Bargain was just like 5 million stars. Absolutely obsessed with that book last year. Told everyone about it. Got so many of my friends to read it and they loved it too. Like, it was just a staple in my reading last year. So I was just over the moon excited for Thorn Queen. And so I finally got it in when it was released, and I started reading it, and I realized it had been over a year since I read The Rose Bargain, and I was kind of forgetting some of the characters in this one. So I read like a chapter, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a Rose Bargain reread so that I can be fully fresh with all the knowledge going into the Thorn Queen, because that's how excited I was for this book. So I reread The Rose Bargain again. 5 stars. It's so good, even on the reread, which I feel like is scary sometimes, because I don't know, sometimes I feel like 5 stars are kind of wrapped up in my emotions at the time, but it stayed true to its 5-star rating. I loved this book so much, even on the second time through, and so it just made me even more excited to read Thorn Queen. So I got that read, started Thorn Queen, and y'all, the plot just went so far from what I wanted it to go, and I'm so sad about it. I am so attached to my books, and I'm just a dramatic person in general, and so it was like making me physically sad that I didn't love this book. Like, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I would be at work during the day thinking about how sad I was that I didn't like this book, and I was just devastated that I didn't love it. I hated the way the plot went. Something happens between our main character and her love interest, and I didn't like it, and I'm so sad. I still haven't rated it because I have no idea what rating to give it. There were good moments, and I got some scenes that I wanted to get, but overall my reading experience was just that I was so sad that the plot went where it did, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and I'm so sad to say that, because again, loved The Rose Bargain even the second time through, but this one was just not it. So I'll be able to give you a little more than that in that reading vlog if you're interested. It's going to be a full spoiler reading vlog, and so you're probably not going to want to watch it unless you have either already read everything or you know you're not going to read those books, because I'm going to be spoiling everything. It was my first ever full spoiler reading vlog, and it didn't go well. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm very sad, but it happens. And moving on. So after that, I tried to get into 2 books and ended up DNFing both of them because I was messed up in the brain, y'all. I was so sad that I didn't like that book, and so I tried to read Risky Business and The Secret Bridesmaid, and I ended up DNFing both of them. I'm pretty sure Risky Business is going to be a hard DNF, but I might actually try to go back to The Secret Bridesmaid because I really like this author's writing. Risky Business is a retelling of She's the Man, and our main character is the head of a tech startup, and she only gets funding when she applies as her twin brother, like using her twin brother's name. Yeah, I could not get into it. It was very much the world is against me kind of story, and it was all just very, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I don't think I'm going to pick it back up. It wasn't really the book that I was looking for. Another book where I was expecting like a really funny She's the Man retelling, and again it ended up being a little bit more serious. She had some actual issues that happened between her and a man in her life where the man was just awful to her, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get into it, so probably not gonna pick that one back up. The Secret Bridesmaid was cute. I think I DNF'd it around page like 100. This one is about a professional bridesmaid who gets hired by a bride to kind of be their wedding planner. It's a really cool concept, and I just love this author's writing. Her writing is so funny. Bride that this woman is hired for, she's actually hired by the bride's mother, and the bride doesn't want her there, so she's really mean to her, and that was the part where I just couldn't get into it. But I think it was just me being in a slump and me not being able to get into any book, so I'm going to pick this one back up at some point probably, because I think I'll like it when I can be in a better headspace. I'll be back because I read this author's book called The Wedding Season, and I loved that book. It was so cute and funny and just like a really good romance. Yeah, I'll probably go back to that one. Next, I read Picking Daisies on Sundays. I finally got to this one. I've been trying to get to this book ever since I bought it, I think like a month ago. I loved this. This was so cute. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars because pretty much everything was perfect in this book except for the fact that the main character just wouldn't open her eyes and see that Levi was in love with her. Like, it was so obvious from the beginning of the book that he was in love with her, and that was the only reason why I didn't give it fully 5 stars. But oh my gosh, I see why this is such a cult favorite and why everybody loves it, because the love that these two people feel for each other and like their second chance of coming back to each other was so sweet to read. And oh my gosh, Levi has a way with words. No wonder he wanted to be a writer, because wow, all the stuff that he was saying to her and like the little poem quotes were just precious. And so I loved this, and I see why other people love it too. I think it probably would have been a 5-star if I had read it in a better time of my reading life, but yeah, the whole her being so clueless just got kind of old, and I was like, girl, he obviously loves you, like get it through your brain. But still really enjoyed this. I still would recommend you read it. It's just a sweet love story. You're just so happy at the end that they get their happy ending. I loved the ending. It was really cute. She has a new book coming out that looks really good, I think at the end of summer, called Summer of Stars, so I'll probably end up reading that one too. And then the last book that I read this month was The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. If you haven't seen these books, I feel like they're everywhere right now. They are just tiny little novellas, and they are basically written as diary entries of Emma M. Lyon, and she is a young girl living in like 1800s England. They are literally just about her life, and they're so quirky and funny and wholesome, and I've only read the first volume. I think there are 8, and they're all tiny little slivers like this, but yeah, they're really, really cute. If you just want a fun, cutesy read, it was a very sweet book. And so I'm not like racing to read the rest of the series, but I would definitely keep them in the back of my brain if I want just a quick little reset, because I felt like this was a good thing to mindlessly read and kind of get my brain off of all the things that went wrong this month. So yeah, it was really cute. I feel like everyone's talking about these right now, so if you haven't read them, I say give it a go. That is all the books that I read in April. Kind of a rough reading month, but I also had some really good books this month, so I can't fully discredit it for being a horrible reading month, because I did find some new favorites, but I hope May is better. I don't have an anticipated book in May, so maybe it will be. And I'm also willing to admit that maybe my expectations were too high. I think because I loved Rose Bargain so much, I had like 10-star expectations for The Thorn Queen, and maybe that was part of my issue, so I don't know. But yeah, I will see you all probably later this week with that other reading vlog as soon as I can get it edited and uploaded and all that fun stuff. Also, one more thing I forgot to say. I always do a giveaway on my TikTok every month when I post my short form reading wrap up, and I give away one book from the video. And so if you all ever want to enter that giveaway, you just have to go to my TikTok, and if you leave a comment on this video telling me which book you want to read from the video, I'll give you an extra entry. You do have to actually enter on TikTok because YouTube doesn't have a messaging feature anymore. I can't really run giveaways on YouTube very easily, so all my giveaways normally happen on TikTok. But I just wanted to give you all a little extra. If you want to enter that giveaway, you always get an extra entry for commenting on this video as well, because I love my YouTube watchers. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one very, very soon. Bye!